Next chapter is function overloading. In this chapter, we are going to learn what is mean by function overloading and what are the advantages and what are the need of function overloading. Before going to start this chapter, let us grasp some basic concepts what we had learned in the last year about functions. The name function, what is mean by function? Function, it is a self-contained instructions and it performs a particular task, isn't it? See here, I have written an example here. This program has to calculate area of circle and area of rectangle using two subfunctions. The first function is circle and another function is rectangle. You are all familiar with these functions. These are all user defined functions. In order to define our own function, we have to declare function and we have to call the function. Then we have to define function. Isn't it? I did not use class and object concept. Directly I started from main function. See, when function declaration is required, when function definition is there after the function call, then we have to declare function here. This is function declaration. Void circle, float, void rectangle, int. This is a function declaration. So, declaration is nothing but what type of value I am going to pass to this function and what is the function name, what type of value that function has to return after performing the task. So, in general, function means it performs a particular task. We have to define that function. In this program, we are going to calculate area of circle and area of rectangle. So, both function name must be different. In order to uniquely identify each module or each function, we must give different names. One is circle, another one is rectangle. This you need to observe here. So, compiler can easily identify for which function call, which function has to execute. So, our task is to pass radius to this function, circle, and length and breadth to rectangle function. In order to get the value, we have to write a statement. Enter radius. So user will enter a value, R value. So R value I have taken floating type. So you can give fractional numbers also. After that L and B. Totally three inputs we required. So one input for circle, another input for rectangle. Enter length and breadth, L and B value. Now I am going to call circle function. To this function I am passing radius, isn't it? Next, rectangle. To the rectangle function also I have to pass L and B, L comma B. L contains a length and B is breadth. Then close the main function. Let us see the definition of this function. Void circle. Name of the function is circle. In this function what actually happens, we have to write float area A is equal to, it means we are going to store answer in area A variable, that is also floating type, 3.142 into R, and I am going to display in the function definition itself. I am not returning value to main function here. That's why the return type specifier is void. If you are passing result to main function, what type of answer you will get after calculation? Floating type answer. So you have to, if you are going to pass this value to main function, instead of writing void, you must write float. In this particular example, I am not passing value or result to main function. So I have taken void here. Again, one more function is there, rectangle function. In this function, I am calculating the area of rectangle and I am displaying from here. So what you need to observe in this program, we have two sub-functions in this program and both functions having a different names, so that for which this function call, circle, this is a function call. Compiler exactly goes to circle function and executes, then come back to the main function. And next function is rectangle. Now compiler, it searches for the rectangle and it executes. Here every time the name of the function is compared with the name of these function definitions. Wherever it finds a circle, then it executes that particular function. I hope you are understanding. So, in order to uniquely identify the functions, we have to give different names. Let us see the syntax here. Syntax for function definition. This is function definition, isn't it? Void means return type specifier. Rectangle means what name of the function name here. Return type specifier, function name, argument declaration. Here int L comma int B is there. No, this is called argument declaration. Argument declaration. Then body of the function. This is the, you need to remember this. We already discussed these concepts in the last year. Again, I am repeating these concepts to make you understand easily. Then syntax for function declaration. Declaration is nothing but it is a function header which appears at the beginning of the main function. Void, circle, float type value, isn't it? So return type specifier, function name, type we have to mention data type. Now syntax for function call. What is the syntax for function call? See here, where is function call in this program? This is circle and rectangle. Name of the function. How to call function? By writing its name and passing argument. Circle R. So let us generalize this. Circle is a function name. R is an argument. In this example, rectangle is a function name. L comma B are the, what are those? Arguments. So argument list. See here. Function name, argument list, semicolon. Sometimes that function returns a result. To store that result we need variable. That's why I have written another syntax also. Variable is equal to function name argument list. I hope you are understanding what is mean by function definition, function call and function declaration. And when it is required to declare function, when function definition is there after function call, then we must write function declaration. And the important thing you need to observe is every function name must be different. Understood? In the next class, I'll explain how to take same function name for 2 or more functions and how to distinguish them. Thank you.